Hey, my beautiful shining stars. I just have to say right off the bat that I love you guys, and I want to thank you so much for all of your love and support and believing in me. You guys are amazing. So from my heart to yours, mwah. So a while back, Jacob and I did the husband tag, and in the video we said if we got 5,000 likes that we would share our love story, and it blew my mind because within 2 days, we succeeded the 5,000 likes. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. So thank you for your patience. We are very excited about this video. It's kind of hard for me a little bit just because I'm going to be vulnerable and I want to be honest with you guys. And I know there's going to be people out there that are not going to like it, and that's okay, to each their own. But there's no way that we could tell this story without talking about the author of the story. And I really believe it was God that put me and Jacob together. So without further ado, here is our love story. So ever since I was a little girl, I was captivated by stories about princesses. I was fascinated that they lived off in a far-off land and that there were these beautiful girls with pure hearts. And when evil or danger threatened them, that there was somebody out there that would fight for them and protect them, that they would slay the dragon and sweep them off their feet and carry them away to their happily ever after. So I think that as I got older, that dream and hope of being a beautiful princess began to die inside of me. I remember being in junior high, and I don't know about you guys, but junior high was like the worst for me because we went from being free kids on the playground to all of a sudden a lot of people started caring what others thought about them and whether they were popular or not. And I wasn't one of the popular kids. I was, a little bit more chubby and awkward, and girls I wanted to be friends with, they didn't want to be friends with me. And I remember specifically this one time I was in the locker room and I was changing, and it's like bad enough that we have to go to school together, and now I have to change in front of these same people that don't like me. They started calling me names and throwing papers at me, and I just remember being there and just thinking, God, just please let them go away. And they said what they said and threw the papers at me, and then they laughed, and then they took off, and I remember just standing there just shaking, and I reached down on the ground and I picked up the papers that they were throwing at me, and I began to read what was on the paper. And for me, I felt so crushed. And you are told something so much over and over again that you begin to believe it. And I believed that I was worthless and that I wasn't pretty, I was ugly and fat and all this other stuff, and that gave me really bad self-esteem about myself. And so I started to try to fill that attention, that void, with relationships. So I got myself a boyfriend. What else is a girl to do? I thought if I had a boyfriend, then all my problems would go away. I would have this romantic movie relationship, and that I would feel like the princess. And at the beginning of the relationship, it was fine. We're all lovey-dovey and stuff like that. And as the relationship got deeper and deeper, we got impatient, and I did things that I never thought I would do. And I did things that made me feel guilty and shameful, and instead of feeling like that beautiful princess, I ended up feeling like a prostitute. And my heart inside, it didn't feel happy and romantic. It felt dirty and disgusting, and I got to that place where a lot of different things just started weighing heavy on me, and it didn't happen once, it happened again and again, and I just felt like I was in this vicious cycle, and I just wanted to end it all. And that's when I started contemplating suicide. People could believe what they want to believe and say what they want to say, but it doesn't change the fact of what happened to me that day. That something extraordinary happened, something beyond me. I remember being in my room, and I just remember hearing those lies again about how I was worthless, how I was ugly, how nobody loved me, and I just wanted to end it all. I just wanted to silence those lies for good. And I remember being on that verge of just taking my own life. Then all of a sudden, I felt the love of God in my room. I just remember just feeling him, and I remember just hearing that you are beautiful, that you are priceless, that I created you, that you have a purpose and a destiny, and that you're worth fighting for. And that it doesn't matter what other people think about you. The creator of the universe is in love with you. And after that point, my life changed forever. From that point on, I knew that I wanted to live my life beyond myself. I wanted to go out there and inspire people and help people, the people that felt like they're rejected, they felt worthless, or they felt like they didn't fit in. I wanted to let those people know that they are priceless, that they are beautiful, that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, that they, have a purpose and a destiny in this world, and life is worth living. And it just so happened that God opened the doors for me to be able to go to Alaska. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Alaska has the highest suicide rate per capita in the world. Like, this generation is killing themselves off faster than the next one's even being born. And I knew that this was the place that I was supposed to go. So I went for missionary work, and I went out to the different villages, and I got to do suicide prevention assemblies with these awesome people, this awesome team of young people who had just incredible life changes themselves. And I was able to travel around Alaska, being able to help out in different villages and speaking life and purpose to the different people that we had met. And it was awesome. Okay, so fast forward a couple years. I'm in Alaska. I'm making a difference, making an impact, living a purpose-driven life. It's awesome. Then all of a sudden, I really feel God hit me. Bam! Karis, I don't want you to date anymore. And I'm like, what? How am I going to meet my husband, my future husband, if I don't date? God, this does not make sense to me. He's like, listen, you could continue to do things your way, get the same results, the broken heart, the vicious cycle, the messed up relationships, or you could do it my way, and I will give you above and beyond your dreams. Karis, you always wanted to be the princess. This is the time that you need to wait for your prince. You're not going to be pursuing the relationship anymore. I have somebody that I've created for you that's going to pursue you. And so I decided to wait. It was difficult. It was really hard, especially because during the waiting part, like, people would be like, are you crazy? Do you know how old you are? Come on, honey. You need to be in a relationship. Or people would say, man, you are taking this way too far. You are way religious. You should not be doing this. You're crazy. And it didn't matter to me because I really knew that what God had for me was going to be worth the wait. So I waited until...
Hey guys, Jacob here. First of all, I just want to say a huge thank you for you guys tuning in and watching today. It's a privilege to share our story with you. And a little bit about me. I was born and raised right here in North Pole, Alaska. Yes, I said North Pole, Alaska. And I really count myself fortunate and blessed to grow up in a family that taught me about God and brought me up in the Lord. I believe it really laid a foundation in my life. And I remember my folks coming in every night before I went to bed and praying over me. And I remember distinctly that they'd even pray from a young age. They'd pray for my spouse. And I always just thought that was cool. And little did I know, how powerful those prayers would be one day. But like most of us going through high school and becoming a teenager, I got into a relationship and I rushed into it. And before I knew it, it was heading down a path that I didn't want to go down. And just to be real, it was heading down a sexual path. And I knew deep in my heart that, I wanted to save that for the woman that I would one day be with as my wife. And so I made a decision, and it was a hard decision, but I broke off that relationship. And, I never felt so free in my life because I got back to that commitment that I would be with the woman that I love, intimately, her and her alone. And so that was my decision, and it freed me up. I got more involved at church, as a musician. I was playing a lot more music, and yeah, it was just a really exciting time in my life.
So one night I was up late just praying in my dorm room, and just chilling, just talking to God. And I really felt strongly that I was supposed to take drum lessons. And, I really felt God guiding me to ask Jacob, who was a worship leader at the church at the time, to give me drum lessons, because he played all sorts of instruments. He played the guitar, he played the bass, he played the banjo, he played the spoons. No, just kidding. He played a lot of instruments, and he was getting his BA at the university for music at the time. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
So one night I'm at the church, and afterwards, Karis comes up to me. Now I knew Karis. She was awesome. She traveled around Alaska. I knew with the church group, and she would help people. She would preach. She would serve, and I really admired that about her. And so she had a question for me, and she said,
Jacob, I was wondering how much you would charge for drum lessons, because I really want to, take drum lessons. And he was like,
you know what, Karis, if you promise me that you're gonna, 1, practice really hard, and 2, play for God, then I'm gonna make you an offer that you can't refuse.
I will give you drum lessons for free.
And I told her I would give it to her for free. And she was very excited, to say the least.
So the first lesson was awesome, and it was just amazing. I was getting it down. It was fun.
Come back the next week for the second lesson. And when we start, just something seems different. I began to notice little things about her that I didn't notice before.
I started noticing how incredible this guy was. He was unlike any other guy. He was just so awesome, and I could see that he was just a man of integrity, a man of nobility, a man after God's own heart, and how handsome he was.
Of course, she's obviously gorgeous and beautiful, and so that's the first thing, I noticed. But there was something even beyond that, the beauty of her heart, of who she was.
I was just falling for him. So instantly I was like, no.
I'm kind of a more reserved person, so just being around that kind of life, that explosion of life, it was refreshing to me.
You ever been on a diet and there's this big fat piece of chocolate cake right in front of you, and you just want to jump on it, and just devour that cake? That's how I felt. And so it was just crazy, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I decided to confide to my pastor and his wife about my feelings towards this tall drink of water. You know what I'm saying?
It was so pure, so fresh, so amazing, and I really began to get that, those butterflies in the stomach, so to say, because we had so much in common, and we just really hit it off. So I took those feelings and I took them to my pastor, and I confided in him, because I really felt, this time around I wanted to have some accountability in my life. I wanted to have somebody I could really just talk to openly and honestly, and so that's what I did.
So after talking to my pastor and his wife and confiding in them about my feelings toward this handsome young man, I just had this total peace and confirmation about waiting and being that princess in the castle underneath the protection of the king, and waiting for that knight in shining armor to come and prove himself and fight, for the princess and win her over. And also, waiting is not always easy. I know that we live in a fast-paced world, like the drive-through world, that we, want instant gratification. But I knew that there was value in that waiting, because, good things are worth waiting for and worth fighting for. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to take this role on as the princess. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to be preparing. I'm going to be preparing my heart. I'm going to be preparing myself to be fit for this prince that would fight for me. And I wanted to do it in an integrable and an honorable way. And so the waiting began.
So time goes on, and these feelings in my heart for Karis just continue to just explode inside of my chest. And our friendship continues to grow as we, lead worship and I begin to travel around Alaska as well, doing suicide prevention assemblies and serving where we can. And all this time, I just really felt in my heart that I wasn't supposed to share it. I wasn't supposed to pursue that relationship just yet. And I think for me, it was just really a matter of honor. It was really a matter of respect for her. But also something that I remember reading in the scriptures, that love always protects. And that really struck me because in the past, I wasn't a protector. I didn't protect, girls' hearts. And this time it it really was clear to me that I needed to be that protector. And so my way of protecting her was not to go down that road because the time wasn't right. So these feelings continued to grow inside of me to the point where I just began breaking down to God and just saying, okay, Lord, this is how I feel, and I really want to be in a relationship with Karis and Karis alone one day in your timing. And I'm committed to wait as long as I need to go through the trials that I need to go through. But that's how I feel, God. And I just left it at that.
So during that last year of waiting, I remember just going crazy because like 4 of my girlfriends that year got married. And the last one was like my closest friend. And I remember being the maid of honor, and I was just kind of like, I was trying to be having a good time at the wedding, but in the inside I was dying because I was like, always a bridesmaid, never a bride, you know. And I remember flying out that night, red eye, to California because I wanted to spend the holidays with my family. And you know, during that trip, it was kind of hard. I felt kind of sad, and I felt like I was losing hope and, you know, losing faith and giving up hope. And I remember being in my room one night, and I was just crying. You know, I just was like, God, I feel like I've done everything that you wanted me to do, and I feel like, you know, this is not going to happen. You know, what's going on? And I remember just hearing God saying, Karis, you know, even if you didn't get your prince, even if you never got married, would you still love me? Would you still serve me and continue to live your life helping others? And I thought about it, and I started crying, and I said, yes, God, I would, because you were the one that loved me when I felt nobody else did. And you were the one that brought me out of darkness. You were the one that brought me freedom and gave me hope. And I love you, and of course I would continue to live this life, you know, giving that gift to others. And he said, okay then, Karis, you know, just continue to trust me. And I remember going to bed that night, feeling peace. Little did I know, it was like the very next day, New Year's Day, something extraordinary was gonna happen.
Okay, guys, now for the fun part. So it's late 2008, and it's nearly 4 years since Karis and I's first drum lesson. And I'm sitting in the office with my pastor, and we're just talking about things. And we look at each other, and there's just this shift, and we both know what it is. And it's basically, okay, the release that I'm going to begin to pursue Karis. But instead of just going down the dating road and playing the dating game, like, I really felt, you know what, I'm just gonna go for this. I'm just gonna ask her to marry me. And so we thought, you know, how could we make this special for Karis? And boom, light bulbs going off. This is gonna be the most exciting, the biggest, the best explosions, the greatest perfectly tailored to Karis proposal as I could think of. And we began to formulate our sinister plan in complete secrecy. I called Karis's dad and asked for her hand in marriage, and he gave me his blessing, and he was excited about it. I went and I had a man-to-man talk with my dad, and he was excited about it. And other than that, we just formulated this plan, and it was going to go down. And you know what? Instead of me just telling you about it, why don't we watch it? So without further ado, here's how it went down. Enjoy.
What? I'm gonna take another one of her face. So long. So excited to meet you.
Oh, how cute!
There's no place I'd rather be than right here with you, Karen. Will you marry me? Yo, give it up! I took about 4 or 5 of those. Whoa! Yeah!
My heart is yours.
In case, I joke about it with Karis, but in case, you know, she had any qualms or hesitations, I had a few backup plans. So I had actually written a CD with music on it that I had written specially for her and recorded it in my studio. I also made a custom drum set. I thought it'd be cool to build a drum set and deck it out with stars and pink and everything. And I had a photographer friend take pictures, and I put it into a book. So in the small chance that she had hesitations, I was gonna whip it out when I was down on a knee and say, "Oh, also I got you this. Oh, also I got that." But she didn't really hesitate. She jumped into my arms pretty quickly. Something else that we talked about right after I proposed was saving our first kiss for our wedding day. Now, I thought of this and I felt that it was another unique thing that we should do, you know, personally. And so when I told her about it, she was just as excited as I was.
Yeah, I was like completely blown away. I mean, what guy does that they would say that they respect my purity so much and they wanted to protect me, because in the past kissing led to a whole lot of other things, you know what I'm saying? And so I just love that we wanted to save that special moment for when we committed ourselves to each other and said I do before God and man. It was awesome. It was like fireworks exploding, you know, glitter falling, the curtain falling, the doves flying in the air. It was epic and I loved it and I don't regret it one bit. I knew that I wanted the stars and guitars, something that reflected us in our wedding. It was like kind of like that rock star wedding. I had like hot pink and purple, and it was just awesome. Stars everywhere. The cake was actually our friend Skip made it for us, and it was like made to be like drums, like a hot pink drum set. It was so cool. And then we had another person make us a cake with music notes on it, and it was just awesome. We had all of our friends and family come out, and we had dancing and we had fun. It was just a big celebration, and I just love the fact that everybody came out to support us and our love for each other. And that day was amazing, and from then on out it was just that happily ever after.
So we really hope and pray that you guys have enjoyed this and that you've been encouraged by this. Please don't walk away, you know, from this and think that we're saying, oh, dating is evil, oh, what you're doing is wrong. No, this is just simply our story. Every story is different, you know, and we pray that your story is unique and special to you. And so, if anything, you know, just be encouraged. You know, God is a God of second chances, of third chances, of a million chances, and He's been so good to us. And so, let's just be encouraged.
Yeah, I definitely felt God's redemption in my life, and I don't know what you guys may be going through right now, but know that there's always hope. You know that tomorrow can be better, and that you can make a difference, or your hopes and dreams can come true. I know sometimes this world could be very cynical and destroying of those hopes and dreams, but if you really believe, you know, in yourself and you pursue it, then you could do it. You know, it may sound cheesy or cliche, but there's always hope. There's hope in abundance. And again, we want to thank you so much. You know, we opened up our lives for you guys and just wanted to give you a little piece of us and to show you guys that we do love you and you are important to us. And we just hope that this video was a blessing to you as we shared our love story.
We love you guys.
We love you.
Mwah.